activate the first file systems, like those, like it can be do like the step-by-step process of the system initializations until the login screen on log off screens.
Right. Okay. Very good. So now don't worry. So today I will explain how Red Hat Linux boot up. It means boot process. So the first important thing, what is meant by booting process? A boot process consists of set of processes from the power on the machine to login prompt comes. From the power on the machine to login prompt comes. In between processes, boot process. But in this process, so Linux system crosses several stages. Several stages. I mean, the first one is system uses BIOS or UEFI mode. It is the first stage of the Linux system. And the second one is, which is called grub or grub2 is the what second stage. And the third stage is, which is nothing but kernel stage. And the fourth stage is, which is called init or system D process. Init or system D process. So once again, what is meant by booting process? A boot process consists of set of processes from the power on the machine to login prompt comes. So guys, when will you power on your Linux computer? I mean, what is meant by boot process exactly? So for example, so this is our Linux operating system, right? So right now the system stage is power off. So if I power on the machine, so after few movements, you able to get your login prompt. I mean, it will comes user login prompt. So then you will write the username and password. But in this stage, I mean, from the power on the machine to login prompt comes in between, you will get lot of stages, lot of stages. So what are the stages are here? The stages are, first one is BIOS or UEFI, grub or grub2, kernel, and init or system D process. Okay, in the each stage, I will explain one by one. So generally, what is mean by BIOS? BIOS means basic input output system. Basic input output system. So here I will show you what are the stages and everything. So the definition of the system initialization, or it is nothing but system boot process, Linux boot process. So below are the stages of the Linux boot process. The first one is BIOS or UEFI, and second one is grub2 or grub, and the third one is kernel, and fourth one is init or system D. Init or system D. So each stage I will explain very clearly what happened exactly in the Linux boot process. Okay, the first one is BIOS stage or UEFI stage. So what is the difference between BIOS and UEFI? Now we'll explain. First, let me discuss BIOS. BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. So that meaning is, when will you power on your computer? So then BIOS performs a post. That is nothing but power on self-test. Power on self-test. That meaning is, so it will generate a power to all connected devices, like the power distribute to keyboard, hard disk, mouse, RAM, and everything. So it will check all hardware connectivities properly. But some desktop levels, when the hardware connectivities are correct, then the system will gives beep sound also. I mean, when will you get the beep sound? Then the all hardware connectivities are absolutely correct. So that is the meaning of the beep sound. Okay, BIOS searches for bootable device in your hard disk. So because once your BIOS power is first is completely successful, then BIOS will search as the what? Your bootable device. The bootable device is nothing but mostly CD or DVD or pen drive or the hard disk or the hard disk. But where is your OS exactly? So your operating system available in the device of hard disk, in the device of hard disk. So now from that hard disk, the operating system will be loaded. In case that hard disk is maybe in the hard disk, Windows is there, it will load the what? Windows operating system. Maybe Linux is there, it will load the what? Linux operating system. Or Mac OS is there, it will load the what? Mac OS. I mean, until BIOS process, I mean, in the until device process, everything is same for the what? Every OS. But in the BIOS level, so I mean, the devices are inside the device, MBR is there. That meaning is master boot record is there. So where is the master boot record? So the master boot record is available in your hard disk, the first partition with first 512 bytes. I mean, you want to load the operating system. So within the hard disk, the first 512 bytes are loaded with what? MBR. So that 512 bytes are divided even primary bootloader purpose 446 bytes and partition table purpose 64 bytes and validation check purpose 2 bytes. So overall, in the first partition, first hard disk in the first partition, the first 512 bytes are MBR related. That means master boot record file. Okay, this is the first information. But the latest hardwares, I mean, we are talking about hardwares only. In the latest hardware, UUFI is there. I mean, UUFI booting process is there. So UUFI stands for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. So BIOS loads MBR is the what? Boot record. But UUFI uses guide partition table. That meaning is GPT partition table like. So GPT and UUFI work together to support secure boot functionality. Secure boot functionality. So remember, when the OS is booting with BIOS, BIOS uses MBR record set. But when the OS will boots with UUFI model, UUFI method, then it uses GPT. So what is the difference between this BIOS and UUFI? The traditional operating systems, I mean your Windows or any hardware, follows with BIOS only, traditional. So in the BIOS, we have some limitations, guys. Actually, in the BIOS means your hard disk supports partitions are limits. Partitions are limit. So that's what even I told you in the hard drive level, I mean in the disk partition concept, we have by default 4 partitions. First 3 are the primary partitions and last one is the what? Extended partition. From you want to more partitions under the extended, then create your what? Logical partition. I mean, your OS is booting with BIOS level. Linux supports up to 16 or 15 partitions only. Up to 15 or 16 partitions only. So we cannot create more than 16 partitions in the what? BIOS level. But your OS boot up with UUFI. UUFI mode. That means guide partition model. It supports more than 250 partitions. More than 250 partitions. So here BIOS uses the master boot record method, but UUFI uses guide partition table method. So that is the difference between BIOS or UUFI. But most of the people don't know what about UUFI. But UUFI is the what? Latest booting method. But everyone knows only BIOS. But in the BIOS level, some limitations are there. But those limitations overcome with what? UUFI. So that's why nowadays every operating system running with what? UEFI method only. So now, right now your operating system running with UEFI only. This is the first stage. So in that case, the operating system uses guide partition table. Guide partition table. Okay. Then the second stage, I mean, once guide partition table is loaded, it will calls grub or grub to configuration file. I mean, grub is the what? One bootloader file in the what? Linux operating system. So actually, in this stage, Windows uses NTLDR file, network loader. I mean, you want to load Windows operating system. NTLDR is the file name. That file is located in the hard disk. But Linux uses grub or grub2. But why we are calling grub or grub2? Grub is old Linux bootloader file. But now in the latest, I mean after Red Hat 7, grub2 is the what? Your bootloader file name. What is the full form of the grub? Grand Unified Bootloader. Grand Unified Bootloader version 2 and previous version. See that grub stands for Grand Unified Bootloader. It is an old bootloader in the Linux world responsible for managing the what boot process of your computer. What is the responsibility of the grub? It will manage the what boot process of your computer. But RHL 7 onwards, it has been distributed with version 2 of the Grand Unified Bootloader, which is called what grub2. Again, which allows the what user selecting the what operating system or kernel to be loaded the what system boot type. That means both are same, but old one is grub, the new one is the grub2. But in this case, operating system will read /boot /grub2 /grub.cfg file. I mean, this file is related to BIOS based missions, But in the UEFI missions, I mean, boot EFI, capital EFI, Red Hat /grub.cfg is the file name. So remember, your OS booting with BIOS, then it uses the what? Boot grub2 grub.cfg. But your OS is running with guide partition table. This is the what configuration file. I mean, while booting your operating system, it will read this configuration file. This is the old one. Now this is the what new one. So here we are comparing both guys. Even you will can explain older one or new one. But please be follow the what new one mostly. But try to understand what is the old one and what is the new one. And now in this grub stage, what happened exactly? The system will get the what splash screen, guys. I mean, in this stage, you will get the what splash screen. So once again, I will reboot the what my computer. What happened? Where is the splash screen? Just observe. So I rebooted my computer. This is the called splash screen. So I mean, it's calling some timeout. So the system is waiting for the what kernel. In this stage, you will select the what your settings. See that my operating system running with UEFI settings only. So every operating system nowadays UEFI settings only, not BIOS. Okay, BIOS is the older one and UEFI is the what new one. So now here is the what grub stage. In this stage, you want to change these values. Then we will modify the what the configuration file. I mean, in this stage it will read the what this is the what configuration file. So these settings are available in the configuration file of this is. I mean, BIOS level means this file contains the what this configuration file settings. So now in this case, you will change the what your operating system. In case 2 or 3 operating systems are running in the same system, then we can select the what operating system types here. Because right now one operating system is there. Even if any other operating system is there, it will display the what another operating system here. Then we can select the what your other operating system. Right now only Red Hat is running. Then that's why enter. So in case if we don't select any enter option, by default it uses the what latest operating system. Now the second step has been started. In this stage, if you press escape key, see that what are the services and modules and lot of things are loaded. So generally this is the screen, but while loading, if you press escape key, you will get the what like that services, what are the loaded. Finally, you got the what your output screen. I mean your login screen. So then we can provide the what username and password and log in the what operating system. So now the second stage is very clear. I mean, so grub will load the what your Linux operating system. Then in this stage, again, this configuration file uses init.rd or initramfs file. So I told you already, in the file system hierarchy structure, what is the top level directory? So your top level directory is it is called what root file system. So init.rd is the what your old. I mean, grub uses init.rd, grub2 uses initramfs. What is the initramfs? It is called initialization RAM file system. Initialization RAM file system. So it is used as the first root file system that your machine has access to. What is the first root file system? Your slash is the word first root file system. I mean, in this stage, the operating system will load the top level working directory, which is called what? Slash. So traditionally, initrd was used. That means older OSs uses initrd, but the modern operating system uses initram fs. But this file completely in the zip file format, but initram.fs uses CPIO archive that is uncompressed into a RAM disk at boot time. I mean, by default, that file is available in the archive format. So the operating system uses a CPIO command to uncompress and load the what your RAM disk at boot time. That is the main point, right? Once graph file has been loaded, it will call to kernel process next. It will call to kernel process is the third stage. This is called what? Kernel. So after the initrd image, that means initialization RAM disk. So that is not initrd, initram fs. Initram fs because the latest operating system uses initram fs. Okay, initram fs. So after the initram fs image completes its tasks, the kernel takes control. I mean, once initram fs is loaded, then completely kernel take the all tasks to control. So it initializes the system hardware mounts the root file system and begins the user space initialization process and everything. I mean, in this stage, it will load. So like your like mount points. So that's why in this stage, etc fstep file is loaded. So it mounts the what root file system. It mounts the what root file system. So because the top level working directory is root only. So your root and boot and slash, I mean, those things are loaded in this stage. I mean, in the kernel stage. So that is called what? Root fs. The kernel uses information provided by the initram fs. The kernel uses information provided by the initram fs to mount the actual root file system. To mount the root file system. That's what. So who will load the what? Your root file system. Kernel will load the what? Your root file system. So that's what I'm saying. Any mistakes in the etc fstep file, so your OS will be stopped here. Your OS will be stopped here. But any hardware level issues are there, then OS will be stopped in the what? First stage only. But any something went wrong in the graph file, then the OS will be stopped in the what? Second stage. But any kernel stage, kernel level occurrence, I mean kernel level failures are there, then OS will be stopped here. So means the third stage, that's what, be careful. Please write the word proper values in the etc fstep file. So in the etc fstep file, entries are wrong, then OS will be stopped here. Okay, in this stage, it will load the what? Kernel modules, drivers, root file systems, and lot of things. So in the root fs, what is meant by root fs? This is called what? Root file system. The root file system is a critical component in the booting process of an OS. It is the top level directory hierarchy. Just now I told you. So hierarchy of the file system and contains essential system files and directories. Correct. So because the slash only contains all files and directories. That's why the system will load the what? Your operating system files and directories and everything here. But in that case, the root file system is not mounted. Then how system will collect the what? Booting files and files and directories. So that's why in the booting process, the root file system is the initial file system that the operating system kernel mounts during the boot sequence. So operating while booting the what? OS, kernel reads the root file system. Kernel reads the root file system. Don't forget it. And now in the last stage, I mean init or systemd process. So once kernel is loaded on, then kernel will call the what? Your systemd process. Your kernel will call the what? Systemd process. So what is the system D or init? So init is the word old process, but system D is the word new process. But what is mean by this old and new? After the kernel has loaded and initialized, it hands over control to the system process. That is called what? System D process. System D process. So what is meant by init or system D? Init or system D is the first process that runs in the system with the process ID of 1. This is the what main point, guys. That's what the repeated interview question is, what is the first program in the Linux? What is the first program in the Linux? The first process in the Linux is either init or systemd. So the traditional operating systems uses init, but init has been replaced with systemd in the latest. So that's why what is the first program in the Linux? Init or systemd. That's what when the processes are loaded, the systemd occupied the ID value of 1. That's what the first program value is 1 of the systemd. This is the first important thing. But once systemd is loaded, it will recall the what? The remaining all drivers, mount points, system processes, then everything. So again, systemd is a system and service manager for Linux operating systems. So once systemd is loaded, then in the operating system, your daemons, services, targets, mount points, devices, and scheduling timings and everything will be loaded. Everything will be loaded. But in that case, systemd is failure, then OS will be failed. Then again, you will recover the what? This systemd and everything OS. So remember this point. So what is the okay? So the systemd is the first program of the Linux. So once systemd has been loaded, then remaining processes, services, daemons, targets, mountings, devices, and scheduling timings, and everything will be loaded. So who will load the systemd? Kernel will load the what? Systemd. So systemd will load the what? All services and target groups. Okay, in this case, where is your services, target groups, and everything? So in that case, your all systemd targets are under USR, lib systemd, and system is the what? Location. In this location, your target groups and files and directories related to your systemd configuration files and everything. So in the last point, during the boot process, the systemd process responsible for systemd process responsible for starting system daemons like services. Services means like cron is the service, sshd is the service, httpd is the service. So like all services and targets. Now I will tell you what are the targets. You know that mountings like your hardware mounting, your CD mounting, your DVD mounting, and device attachers and timers. Timers is nothing but your scheduling jobs and everything will be loaded by systemd only. Okay, then here services, targets, mountings, devices, and everything is clear. But the final important point, what is mean by targets? That means systemd targets. So these are the word run levels or target units. Run levels or target units. So the latest operating system uses target units, but old operating system uses run levels. I mean in the left side, run levels, initrd, those are BIOS. These are all of the what? Old Linux operating system. Once new operating system, I mean after RHL 7, everything is what? Replaced with new one. Init means what? Old one. Systemd is the what? New one. This is the what? Simple point. Okay. Systemd targets are represented by target units. Systemd targets are represented by target units. So targets represent a certain level of functionality and is used for grouping other units. So like systemd targets are power off, rescue target, multi-user target, graphical target, and a reboot target. I mean, out of these seven, so actually these are the seven: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Overall, seven are there. But 2, 3, 4, these three run levels are same. So that's why everything in the word single. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So overall, seven target groups are there, or seven run levels are there. But by default, one target group as a default. By default, one target group is working. So what is the target group by default? You want to get OS with graphical method, then the system running with graphical target now. And you want to get OS is command level method, then multi-user target. You want to get rebooting again and again, then we'll keep the what run level 6. So once based on the what default target unit, the OS will be up. The OS will be up. In case the default target run level is 5 is there, then OS will be prompted like this. I mean, it is a GUI. So in case the OS, the default target group is 3, then OS will be non-graphical user mode. So mostly the target units are either 3 or 5 only. But real-time servers are target group 3 only. And graphical user interfaces target group 5 only. But note point is, once system daemons are initialized, the system is ready to handle user interactions. That means the user is presented with a login screen for the freshly booted Linux system. So here only we have login the what your operating system. So once again say this. If I power off my computer, generally your computers are like this. Okay, what I'm saying here, what is mean by booting process or system initialization? So from the power on the machine to login prompt comes. I mean, once you will click on the power on, after few moments only, you will get a login prompt, correct? But in between, it will take 1 minute or maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes time. So what happened exactly from the power on machine to login prompt comes? In between, what happened? So that is called what? Boot process, system initialization process. So everyone must to know this system initialization process, because when the OS is turned off, maybe some issues, black screen, blue screens. So you will get the what different errors. If you know the booting process, then easily to troubleshoot. I mean, based on the error, this is the stage 1 error, stage 2 error, stage 3 error, stage 4 error. So easily to find out the what your errors from the boot process. Now, if I power on it, see that first it will load the what all BIOS level. Then it will load the what your grub. That's why here see grub. It's loaded. Okay, here see observe here grub version 2 right now. That is called what Grand Unified Bootloader. Now system is booted. So while getting this screen, I mean scrolling, if you press escape, you will get the what lot of services. Here also you will find that where is the failed services, where is the OK services. OK is nothing but service has been loaded successfully. So if any services are failed at boot time, then it will failed is the what messages. Okay. So after that, once all services are loaded by systemd, then it will give the what one login screen prompt. But the login screen is based on the what your target units. So let me explain some target units here, because target units are important. This is completely theoretical part, but definitely you need to read and understand the what things. Okay. So how do you know your current run level I mean your current target unit. My current target unit is, if you run level command, then currently my target group is 5. 5 is nothing but your system is running with graphical user interface. Graphical user interface, right? So the very important thing, by default, run level command working with run level, that means init process level. But systemd uses, it is directly command name is system CTL, system CTL. So you want to get your target defaults. So get default. So init based means run level is the command. But system CTL, that means system D means it uses graphical target. I mean 5 is the graphical. That's what here directly graphical target. So your current target unit is graphical. So now how to change these target groups? How to change this target group? So now generally to change the target group, system CTL, I want to set is the option, set default. I want to say it is a multi user dot target. So what is mean by multi user dot target? It is a run level 3. It is a run level 3. So if I enter fail to set default target unit file, multi user target does not exist. So okay, spelling mistake. Multi user target. Yes. Now what is your current target now? Get default multi-user. Even if you run the run level command, what is our target? Now it is called 5, because we have been specified the word system CTL command. That's why it has been updated. Now it is a multi-user target. So now if I take my system reboot, what happened? Observe. I mean how to change the values at boot time. Now system has been rebooted. Is it graphical method or is it command line method? Yes, this is called what? Command level. So now here we can run the what? Root. My password is root123. So what is our current run level here? We run level. It is called what? 3. Or you can use systemctl space get hyphen default. What is our current run level? Multi-user target. Mostly in the real time, servers are running with multi-user target mode only. I mean, we don't get any graphical user interface. So now here we can run the what commands, your pwd command, fdisk-l command, security region, people are running with graphic command line interfaces. So this is the run level 3. Exactly, servers are running with run level 3 only. This is called what? Target group. Okay, by default, which target group you want? How to set it? Systemctl command. But this systemctl command handled by systemd. Okay, now it is called what? Run level 3. Again, if I reboot it, again it will comes to run level 3. But I want to set the run level method is systemctl set. It is called what? Default. I want to get graphical dot target. So I want to set graphical method. So now if I take reboot action, so reboot is nothing but system reboot, or init level, we will use the command init6 also is the command. Init6 is the system reboot. Init0, it is shut down your computer. Init0, shut down your computer. So init3, it is nothing but, I mean, instead of systemctl, we will use the what? Init also. Init3, it is nothing but, okay, it is a multi-user mode. So init1, it is a single user mode for troubleshooting. So like we have different modes in Linux environment. So let me take, if I run init6, what happens? Now system has been rebooted. I know this is the little bit boring concept, but everyone must to understand Linux booting process. Experience level, it is 100% sure question. Can you explain Linux boot process? We definitely explain step-by-step process. Okay, after power on the Linux system, it will loads BIOS or UEFI method. Then you can give the what 2 or 3 points about BIOS and UEFI. Then what happened in the second method? You need to explain about grub or grub2. Then we need to explain in the third stage kernel level. Then we can need to explain what in the fourth stage system D. So finally, you will get your login prompt. Then you will log in the what username and password and operate the what system. So that's what theoretical part. You need to explain completely the theory part. Okay. So now let me log in. Again, it is a graphical user interface. And now how to change the what your current system state. So the current system state means in previously I have explained the what things and related to say here. So just system CT with help of the system CTL command, we can set or you can verify the what your default mode with help of the what system CTL command only. But these things are will affect at boot time. These things will affect at boot time only. But sir, I want to affect immediately. I don't want to affect at boot time. I want to change the what current target only. So how to change the what current target? Even I told you to changing the what your system target, system CTL set is the option. With to verifying get is the option. So same way, we can use the what init 6 to reboot your computer, init 0. So now it is called what to shutting down your computer and everything. But unfortunately, even in the latest operating systems, init also working, system CTL also working. So if you confuse with system CTL, then go for the what init. So the same run level, init space 0, init space 1, init space 3, init space 5, init space 6. We can use anyone from 0 to 7. So 0 is the shutdown. 1 is the single user mode. I told you, okay, already. So if I take 0, then what happened? The system has been shutting down. Immediate action. Now system is shutting down. Again, if you power on this, then like this, these are the what init level commands. But see here, the highlighted every will be executed in the timeout 1 second. So now 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. That is the what grub mode. But while loading this, if you press escape key, so what are the failed services? What are the running services? Easily to find out. Press escape. Again, the system has been booted. But UEFI booting advantage is compared to BIOS level, UEFI booting speed is very fast. Remember this point. BIOS level, boot process is less, but UEFI method, boot process little bit speed. Even BIOS process is not secure. UEFI is a what secure method. So the current OS is running with UEFI. And how to change your run levels with immediately. Just now I told you init related commands only. But now with help of the what system CTL command, system CTL, ISO late is the command option. ISO late. Okay, I want to go multi user dot target. This is called what? The big command actually, but actually init level means init space 3 is the simple command. Init space 3. Instead of init space 3, people to use system CTL space isolate space multi-user dot target. If I enter, see that the system will goes to immediate. So it's not taking any reboot action. So now your login username is root and login password myself it is correct. I mean, you want to change the state immediately, then we will use the what? This kind of, again, CTL. I want to run ISO status, ISO later. Then space, I want to get graphical dot target. Now the system will take immediately. So it's not taking any reboot. But previous commands are affect at reboot time. But these are the what changing immediately. So you want to change the what system state immediately, then we will use the what ISO late is the what good option. So these are the what run levels. I mean, based on your current run level. So for example, my current run level, how do you know that your current run level? So if I run system CTL get default, then the current run level is graphical target. That's why after rebooting, the OS directly comes to graphical target, graphical user interface. In case your target is multi-user, the OS will come up with multi-user means command line interface. Okay, the same way people to use the previous command, how to shutting down, how to suspending, how to hibernating the what your OS. So the old init level means you will run halt option, power off option, reboot command, suspend mode, hibernate mode, and it is called what suspend and hibernate mode. But once new command, I mean system CTL, the same options, system CTL halt, system CTL power off, system CTL reboot, system CTL suspend, system CTL hibernate, system CTL hybrid sleep mode. So each command descriptions are here. But systemd means we will use these commands. Init command, init to backend process means we will use the what old command. These are the old commands. These are the what new commands with systemd. From power of the computer, init 0, or you can use halt, or you can use system CTL halt command. But by default, both are working in the latest operating system. Init also working, systemd also it's working. That's why we are explaining all. Some people will use init only. They don't know what is system CTL. Still people are using service restart. So, but generally system CTL start is the command. We don't have any service commands nowadays. But in the networking level, you will get your what more knowledge about this system CTL and more. So this is overall Linux booting process. But once again, here we need to explain the word system booting process or what is system initialization process. So you definitely explain these 4 points. I mean the main points. Linux system crosses several stages: BIOS stage, grub stage, kernel stage, systemd stage, or init stage. You don't know BIOS and UEFI. At least tell them one BIOS, grub or grub2, grub, kernel, systemd. Then give on that and each level 2 or 3 important points. Grub level 2 or 3 important points. Kernel level 2 or 3 important. System level 2 or 3 important. But in the PDF level, I will write the what in each stage multiple points. But maybe if you don't understand today or tomorrow, but in future, definitely you will get a good knowledge from the PDFs, because this is the what learning stage only. You don't know about some terminologies and your Linux booting process. But once you have a good knowledge in the Linux and system installation process, then definitely you will be understand the complete points of the system initialization stages. Okay. And one more important update. So tomorrow onwards, we don't have any lectures until Monday. Okay, please remember this point. I'm completely unavailable. Okay, tomorrow onwards. Maybe tomorrow, Wednesday to Sunday or Monday. Okay, I will start the what your next lecture in next week, Monday or Tuesday. But I will update you mostly Monday. In case Monday is not there, then I will you will get your Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday. Okay, I will start the second part, that is called what networking parts. So in the second part, I will explain in the next week. So remember everyone. Okay, now please ask me if you have any queries. This is completely theoretical part, guys, only. And please be understand, theory only means we need to read the what more theory from the PDF. But in interview points, at least you can explain these 4 points. You don't know each one, at least you can explain the what these 4 points step by step. Okay, please ask me if you have any queries. But boot process is completely important concept, guys, especially in the senior engineer level. Booting process is very important. Boot process is very, very important. Are you clear, everyone? Srinivas, Hari?
Yes, Ram. Yep.
But as a fresher level,
Yes, sir.
I know this is the critical part to understand system boot processes, especially files and the stages and everything. But senior engineer level must to understand booting process. Then only they will troubleshoot the what operating systems. Am I correct, Srinivas?
Yes, Ram. Because of this one only, like how we can do the file systems or booting, troubleshooting, everything we can
Right.
accommodate in the
What
same.
happened exactly at a boot time?
Yes.
If you know that 100%, you are the good troubleshooter. I am guaranteed. Okay. So thank you, and don't forget it. Your next class will be maybe 19th or 20th. So tomorrow onwards, I'm not. I'm completely unavailable. Okay. I will be there again 19 or 20, but I will update you mostly 19 your class in case 20, otherwise 20. Okay, I will start the what networking part. Thank you very much, and happy to advanced Independence Day, guys.
To Ram, for you also.
Thank you, sir, and same to you.
Thank you to all.